Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Frankly Francisco podcast. I am back in the seat, and today's guest is an animator. He is working on a animated sitcom named Jazz Cow, and he is brilliant. I love the concept. I looked at the website. It looks like it's going to be fun. I know this is something that's not easy to do. I'd like to introduce everybody to John Lumgair. How are we doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for coming on the show. Coming all the way from the UK, correct?
Yes.
So thank you for doing that. Thank you for coming on the show. So let's get into it. So you're an animator. Right away, I used to love to draw. That passion went away when I got older. How did that stick with you to get you to the point where you are now?
Probably being a bit obsessed with it. So I think it was a mixture of being obsessed with it and probably not being very good at many other things. So yeah, that combo.
So did you go from paper to learning how to do the animation on a computer? How was that shift for you? Because I know typically when people learn how to do animation, they draw first and then they learn how to do it on the computer. How long did that skill take for you to learn how to shift those two things?
That's a great question, because actually when we started our company, we were still in the business of drawing on paper and scanning in each frame and then just putting it together in the computer. And then it was probably about 2 or 3 years in where we started to transition to being more purely digital. So that was hard, because at the time the technology was very clunky, and it was to be able to draw straight into the computer was, you had to spend a fortune or you had rubbish tools. But now it's really easy. It's much easier today transitioning than it would have been back then.
So do you still do concept art on paper first and then translate it over to computer, just so you have something? Because when let's say you're out and about, you're in the garden, you're out shopping somewhere, and an idea comes to your head, do you carry a sketch pad with you just in case you want to draw something up real quick?
I should do. I actually literally, because it's just in my, it's not, I've got a sketch pad here. I don't know what it's doing, blurry. But anyway, yeah. So I'll often draw stuff with a real pen, and not the best drawings, but it helps me get something outside of my head. And I also draw into my iPad as well, which is somewhere between the two. But I like drawing physically on paper. It's quite nice that you make a mark, you're stuck with it. If it's ugly, it's ugly. If it's good, then it's good.
So was this a natural talent for you, or did you have to learn at a young age? Because some people are gifted with it, some people have to learn. Was it something that came natural to you?
I guess from a young age I was drawing, and I was better at drawing than everybody in my class, or most of the people in my class at school. And so I guess from that point it was natural. I will remember being more of a perfectionist. So I'd be painting something, and I remember just constantly screwing up paper, start again, screwing up paper, and be surrounded by screwed up paper, because I had something that I wanted to do and I couldn't do it. And there was all that trying to bridge that gap. And a lot of that is hard work. But then I'm not the greatest. I'm not the greatest at any one thing. I'm very much an all-rounder. So you get people who they have a natural ability and have worked very hard in one specific area, which makes them amazing. Where I'm very much do lots and lots of different things, which makes me good at kind of the overall big picture stuff, not so good at each individual element.
Well, that's good though, because then you're not putting yourself in a box when it comes to your art. You're able to, your imagination can run wild on the things you want to do, and that can translate to what you're doing now, which is this animated sitcom that you're working on. So tell my audience about Jazz Cow. How did this concept come to life? Where did this come from? Where you had a cow that was a jazz musician? Where did this come from?
Well, I lived with a group of guys, and we would chat late into the night quite regularly. and laugh about nonsense. And one of the things we were laughing about was this book of animated cartoon characters, animated cartoon animals, and all these animals would end up with these amazing abilities to fight and do these kind of very athletic things. And we were like, why would an animal always get those kind of powers, and why those kind of animals? So we thought, what about a cow? What about a cow who plays jazz? And it was one of those stupid comments that someone makes when laughing. But one of the guys we were with started drawing in his sketch pad, and it was the next morning we woke up and we were like, I think there's something in this. that was its origin.
So how do you put that to paper? I know it's not an easy process when you're creating a sitcom. You have to have voice actors, you have to have the cartoons. Do you guys have your own studio? How did you guys create your own company specifically just to do this? How did this come to shape and fruition for you guys to be able to start the process of trying to get funding and Kickstarter for all this?
So originally it was we made a little short which we got into festivals. This was years and years ago, and we got one voice actor and he did all the roles. An amazing guy called Silas Hawkins, who's going to still be in it. He's going to play Dr. Pop. The guy can do anything, but we thought it would be better that other people do some of the voices. But yeah, he was the voice guy. We got a little bit of time in a studio to record, and then we made it on our old computers years ago. Now, for years, we've been running an animation and film production company. So we're doing this professionally. So this is happening. All the Jazz Cow stuff happens on the side. So we don't have like big studio space or anything like that. We when we're recording, we'll hire a studio just for the day. So it'll be and bring in freelancers and things like that.
That's pretty cool. So you're not stuck having to pay a lease, which it's in this economy. It doesn't matter if it's the U.S. or the U.K. Economy is bad all the way around. It doesn't matter. So I mean that's pretty smart. You use it on the basis when you need it. So besides the animation stuff that you do, what other areas of animation are you doing? Because you work for a company that does this stuff. So what are the other passions that you have besides doing Jazz Cow that you're working on right now?
Yeah, so I'm doing a little video for a choir, and they're doing a song at Christmas. So it's like a kind of music video stroke promoting an event they're doing. So I've started working on that, and some illustrations for a kids book, and my colleague's doing some videos to promote some services of a local council at the moment, so our local government. So they're the things that are keeping us busy in terms of the stuff that's paying the rent. And then we're both pursuing our own projects. So he's writing feature scripts. He's got about 9 or something.
Wow.
More that he's pushing in different directions. And then this is the project I'm pushing. So yeah, that's it's always hard to juggle the thing you want to do and then the thing that pays the rent in the here and now.
Listen, I 100% understand what you're talking about because I work a full 40-hour job every day. So I get it. Trust me, I understand. My passion is this. My passion is talking to people like you who have passions of their own that want to get it out to the world and want to be seen. And I get it. I have, I got to work. I got to pay bills as well because podcast is not doing that right now. But hopefully one day it will. But in the meantime, I enjoy speaking to people like you because you know what the struggle is. You know what it is to have to work and still have a burning passion and that you want to find a way to get it out. But it takes time. It can take years sometimes to get it out. So for you guys, what is the timetable for the Jazz Cow series that you think is going to come out? Are you guys trying to get it on a network? Are you trying to do like a web series? What is the platform that you folks are trying to get this out on?
Yeah, so we started years ago pitching it around TV stations like Fox Kids and Cartoon Network. And we ended up getting to meetings and things were positive, but nothing happened. And then it actually stayed in a drawer for years. And then someone had the opportunity to do some pitching around some streaming services. So I worked with a sitcom writer, a guy called James Carey. We teamed up and then reworked it so it was more of an adult sitcom, and then sent that a guy went around the streaming services and they said, well, we're not really taking stuff that's not based on a book or a comic or a game. So we thought, right, we're going to have to do this ourselves. So then we thought, let's get it all on. Let's put it on Kickstarter. Let's try and raise the money that way to get a pilot made, and then obviously those that back it will get to see it, and then we'll see what we do with it next. So that's our plan.
So have you built a following already? Because sometimes, you can build a cult following around this using social media, advertising. Has there been a strong following for this particular series that you're trying to build?
Slowly building a following. I don't think we can claim to have a very large following at the moment, but we're slowly building it. And yeah, it's being well received wherever it's shown. So that's a good sign. So yeah.
Yeah, the more eyes you can get on it, the better. I mean, that's, even if it's all the free areas that you can, there's so many social media websites right now. It's mind boggling. There's social media sites that I've never even heard of that people are using right now. They're, building entire followings on those sites. So I get it. It's a hard business to be in when you're trying to pitch something to networks. Sometimes it can take some time to build it from the ground up. But once it takes off for you guys, I have no doubt this is going to be something that's going to blow up for you guys, and it could lead to other things as well because it's all about connections, especially in this type of industry. It's the more people and there's no shame. I tell people all the time, just because somebody opened a door for me doesn't mean that you can't open a door from somebody else. So
Oh yeah.
we can't, it's not our job to gatekeep when it comes to somebody else's success. And I want success for you guys. You guys have been working on this for years. It's one of those things where, hey, maybe we had to slow down a little bit, but now we pick it back up. So it's finding that balance. So how do you find that balance? How do you find the time? Do you set time aside for yourself to work on it? You have to set a day or an hour. How do you find that balance?
I've gone through periods where I've gone, okay, every Friday I'm going to just focus on my own stuff. And it's never really worked because deadlines have come up and I've just been working flat out for other stuff. And so I tend to work in more binges. So I'll go, right, I've got this project's ended. I'm not yet panicked about earning money. So I'm just going to work on this. And then either work comes in, then I stop, or I start to panic because money's not coming in, and then start to try to get work. So that's always been the pattern, which is maybe not the most sensible pattern, but it's why I work.
Yeah, it's finding time for I'm working on a novel myself, so I'm up to like 25,000 words already, but I put it aside because it's kind of hard to find that space to be able to work on it. So I've stopped it for a little bit. It's been a month since I've written in it. Now I'm going to try to pick it up again and continue to write. It's one of those things where you're going to have to go back and forth. It can take a long time to work on a passion project. I've been podcasting for almost 4 years now, and you're still trying to find your audience. You're still trying to find people to support what you're doing. Not everybody's going to support you. You know this. It's the toughest part of what we do, especially when we have passion projects and things that we want to accomplish. It's finding that audience, finding people who are going to back us. But when it does happen, it's one of the most rewarding things because we didn't give up, and you're not giving up.
Yeah. You've just got to find your own way to do it. That's the thing. Whichever route, if that doesn't work, then try that, And yeah, I'm sure you find that with your podcasting. You've just got to keep pushing.
You do. There's been a lot of things in my life that's happened that's, I should have been a lot more into my episodes, but, my mom passed last year. I've gotten COVID twice. So life gets in the way sometimes, but here we are. You and I are having this conversation right now about a passion project that you have that I want to see come to fruition for you. Because I want to see everybody succeed. Like I said, I don't gatekeep. You can be a multimillionaire, or you can be a guy sweeping the streets. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to treat you with the respect that you deserve and that you need. And I think that's what it comes down to, is respecting people. You don't always have to agree with what they do, but at least respect them. I love animation. I love the Family Guy, The Simpsons, Rick and Morty. There's a whole different animation. What I liked about your animation style, it kind of reminds me of the Courage the Cowardly Dog kind of type of animation.
I've not
Um,
seen that.
Have you not seen that? Yeah, when you
No.
get a chance, take a look. Yeah, your animation kind of reminds me that of that style, which is cool. It's a cool style that you have. So when you get a chance, check it out. It's that's the kind of animation it kind of reminds me of. But I love the concept and but making an adult more of an adult themed show. How did that come up? Because I thought it's usually when you see a cow, it's a kids kind of a kids thing.
Yeah, and the word adult is not particularly helpful either because it often has become to mean really, really cynical, really nihilistic, and often quite crude. And we're much more in the, if you like, the Simpsons model than maybe some other stuff, which might be great, but that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's not as depressing as Joe BoJack Horseman or as nihilistic as Rick and Morty. um, People will come out hopefully feeling good about themselves at the end of the day. Um, and I think it was the thing that we originally had them as 10 minutes, and we were like, actually, the story itself just starts pushing in a particular direction. And it was James Carey, the scriptwriter, who just was like, this is an adult show. It keeps pushing itself that way. So it's like we might try to fight it, but it keeps fighting back and it knows what it wants to be.
Well, I mean, there's so many adult shows right now that are animated. You have a ton on Netflix, you have a ton of, a lot of these other stations, Adult Swim. It's even HBO has shows. It's gone that way. I mean, there's no way to stop it because I think adults enjoy cartoons as well. I used to love Ren and Stimpy, and that's one of the most well. The early Ren and Stimpy was not vulgar. The one that they made for MTV that was more vulgar than anything else. But still, I enjoyed that stuff. So yeah, there's an audience. I believe there's an audience for everybody. You just have to find that audience. You have to find your niche where you belong. And I think the show can be successful. Like I said, it's just going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take people to embrace it. Look at the Family Guy. The show got canceled twice and came back on our air, and it's going on 20 plus years. So there's no such thing as failure. And then on top of that, you guys can always push an episode out on online so people can take a look at it if it's not picked up by somebody.
Yeah, there's more options now than ever, and I think, and one of the things we're going to do is set the target quite low, so we'll do a full audio version and then a short as the minimum, because at least at that point we've got something we can get out there, and we can then build on that, finish it. We can do all sorts of options, and so I'm quite excited about the idea that it won't be that long before we can have something physical that we can, well, maybe not physical, but complete, that we can actually use and get in front of people, and then build an audience off the back of that, because it's the more you have, the easier it is to build an audience as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes a series of, because there's obviously shows that we do not see here in the US that are in the UK. So you guys have your own platforms and your own networks out there as well, but then you have crossovers. Or sometimes you'll have a show in the US and just remake it for
Yeah,
an
like The
American,
Office.
like The Office, exactly, or Almost Human. So there's a bunch of shows that have been crossed over, but animation is universal. Doesn't matter where you are, you can cross that over from across the pond to here, which is I think is fantastic. You just have to gain that audience. How long is it typically a brainstorming session for all of you? Do you all get together or do you do your thing individually? Like, do you do Zoom? How long are your brainstorming sessions to get this stuff together, to figure out the plots, to figure out the characters, things like that?
So originally, as I was saying before, it all started with a group of us in a room just laughing, and there was no time thing. It was just developed out of fun conversations. And I don't know how long the more thoughtful meetings were. Um, Probably hours here and there. But once I started working, and lots of emails going back and forwards. But once James Carey came on board, I did a number of Zoom meetings that were probably about an hour, and then probably did about, I don't know, quite a few of them, and then once, providing the money comes in, then there'll be a whole series of things. He'll go away and write, and then I'll look at it, and there'll be back and forwards of probably Zoom and email. Um, but then different elements of different people on the team will have most of the meetings probably will be Zoom. Yeah, some of the people aren't in the UK, so that would be I'm not we won't have the money to fly out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like I said, it's tough all over right now. Now, as far as storyboarding, do you guys do that physical storyboarding or do you do the digital storyboarding? And how does that work for you?
Yeah, so storyboarding we used to do physical. We used to buy those postcards about this big, and then stick them all over the walls. And the problem is that's not very portable when people are in different places. And I live in a small flat and we don't have any wall space. Um, so that's out the window. But we use a digital tool called Toon Boom Storyboard Pro, and it's I like it. I'm slightly unconventional the way I storyboard because traditionally people storyboard the whole thing and then they time it out and then turn it into what's called an animatic. So you would then watch the storyboard like a blueprint of the whole film. I like to start timing it out from the beginning. So I even if they're really, really rough, bad drawings, it helps you get a feel for the rhythm of the thing. And that's I don't think that's a way that other people work. I'm sure other people do, but I've not heard of anyone working that way. And it's probably not the most sensible way to work since I've heard no one else doing it that way, but that's how I do it. Because I really like to get into the feel of that rhythm and go, okay, that shot lasts that long. This is feeling right. And I'll often do that with rubbish audio, just recording my own voice or whatever first.
Yeah, I mean it's a good way to test things out for yourself. But that's interesting. So is that a popular app for people who do animation and work on things like that as well?
Yeah, so the company make some animation software, and I imagine that if you're using both, it makes sense that you use because you can export the files and they go into that format. I don't know how popular it is. I think the most popular bit of software for storyboarding is probably Photoshop, um, but it's not designed for storyboarding, and obviously it's got endless tools. But I find this much better because I can move things around and watch it all in time. I've got no idea how popular it is though.
So for your writer, so I know he's writing the stories for you guys and things, but do you guys give input as well when you guys have an idea? Is he very uh does he take it in with grain of salt and not get too, because sometimes writers can be a bit emotional, they don't like anybody stamping on their work. Does he listen to what you guys give him the input on what you guys want?
Yeah, yeah. So it was very much my idea and a couple of other guys, and then he took on that project, and that's what a lot of our conversations were of him really getting his head round and listening, and then asking me to like collecting up notes and things so he can read through and write comments and ask questions on them. So he really gets it, and so he gets the concept so um, properly, which is why he's a perfect writer for it because he really, really understands it. And and so there'll be lots of toing and froing that goes on once the at the next stage. But yeah, I'm totally confident that he listens and we communicate well. Um,
That's awesome. That's all. Listen, it's always good to have somebody that's willing to contribute and willing to collab with you on projects that you're wanting to do. Now, for the future here, what are the plans for you guys? What ultimately is it that you're looking to gain out of this for the future for you guys? Do you guys want to parlay this show into more animated stuff? Do you want to slip into the realm of actual like TV shows, or do you want to stay directly just in animation itself?
so I would like this to be something like The Simpsons that just runs and runs, and that I would it wouldn't be lost to someone, that I would still have creative control, that it wouldn't just disappear to some corporation somewhere. So that's what I'd like. And then I've always got lots of other ideas of things I'd like to make, but I just want to get to the stage where this can be happening. And And my brother, who is the main guy I work with, I don't think I mentioned he was my brother, but because he's writing all his feature scripts, that I'm hoping this would be able to help him. Like, it could all just improve our profile, and yeah. So that's my kind of target with it.
That's good. I mean, you have something that you want to grow and you want it to continue to grow and you want to have a lot of years at it, but you're talented. You just don't do this. You have other stuff that you can do as well. So, like I said, it's just getting the door open for you to get yourself in, and then, you can go off and running for you guys. Where can people help contribute to this particular show that you're trying to kick off?
So if people go to jazzcow.co.uk, jazzcow.co.uk, and there's a sign up to be notified button on Kickstarter that you can click through to, and there's a mailing list to sign up to there. And so doing those would be really helpful.
Awesome. Where can they find you on social media platforms, though? Where can people look at some of your stuff and comments and support you in other areas that you have?
Yeah, that's that. I mean, comments and likes and all that is great. So if you search my name, John Lumgair, Lumgair, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, probably other ones. I can't think of any others. And Facebook. And then you've got Quirky Motion, which is my company, and you can search for Quirky Motion on all those platforms. You'll find it. And on Instagram, there is a JazzCow one, so it's jazzcow.tv on Instagram, and so you can follow it on Instagram too.
So, John, I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's been very informative. I love the passion that you have and just wanting to get yourself out there and get this show started. Like I said, it was a spark, just a conversation you guys were having, and then look what it's turned into now. And that's all it takes is one idea. All it takes is one idea. And you guys are cultivating that idea and growing that idea. You haven't given it up, even though you had to park it for a little while. Now you're back at it, which is a beautiful thing. So I'm going to leave you with what I leave everyone with. No matter what anybody tells you, if you found your purpose, live it.